This is an Inside Sales Geek Academic to Practice production. Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving deep into the source material you've shared, and today that means taking a piece of, well, academic research and really turning it into practical insights, stuff sales leaders like you can actually use.
Exactly. Forget wading through those dense journal articles. We're doing the legwork for you.
That's right to the good stuff.
Yeah. So our focus today is this exploratory study. It was published in International Business Research back in 2019.
Okay.
And what they did was they interviewed 58 car sales professionals. So a mix of managers and sales reps.
Oh, so people on the ground.
Right, to get their perspective on what makes a salesperson, really effective day to day.
And our mission really is to translate what those 58 people said into practical wisdom you can actually use.
Right. We want to help you understand not just which skills they thought were important, but also dig into some, frankly, fascinating differences in how managers and reps see things.
And figure out why those differences matter and what you can actually do about it to build a stronger team. Okay, so let's unpack this research a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The study found, interestingly, that even though you've got managers and reps in different roles, there was pretty strong agreement between them on 8 core skills. Skills they felt an effective salesperson just has to have.
It is powerful, isn't it? Seeing that alignment on the basics, it kind of suggests this shared understanding of, the absolute must-haves for success there.
Definitely.
So let's maybe walk through those 8 skills that both groups pointed to and touch on why the people in the study said they were so critical.
Sounds good. So leading the pack, number 1 for both managers and reps.
Mm-hmm.
Communication and listening skills. No big surprise there, maybe.
Well, maybe not surprising, but absolutely critical.
Yeah.
When the researchers talked to these folks, they heard things like the importance of paying close attention to the clients,
right,
and how these skills are just mandatory if you want to actually understand customer needs and crucially build that trust.
So it connects directly to outcomes.
Totally. The study links communication and listening straight to building trust, being more persuasive, and just making it easier to close sales. It's, foundational.
Okay. Number 2 for everyone was knowledge possession.
Yeah, and this isn't just product knowledge, although that's obviously key.
Right.
It's also knowing your market, your customers, who you're up against, the competition. The professionals they interviewed felt this knowledge was important for building their own self-confidence.
Ah, interesting. Confidence booster.
Yeah, and just essential to the whole selling process. It helps them handle objections much more smoothly, communicate the benefits clearly, and the research backs this up. Knowledge builds confidence and genuinely helps the sale along.
Makes sense. Okay, third on the list for both, sales presentation skills.
Right, this is kind of your classic sales toolkit, isn't it? Handling objections, persuasion, negotiation, asking good questions, and closing the deal.
The core mechanics.
Exactly. And managers specifically pointed out that negotiation is really vital to reach an agreement and close the sale. The study connects these skills pretty directly to better sales results.
Got it. Then we had flexibility and adaptability. This was 4th for salespeople, 5th for managers. A slight difference there.
Yeah, a slight difference, but the core idea was the same. The pros talked about needing to be able to change their sales approach, adapt based on the situation or the customer's personality.
Right. Not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Definitely not. Someone literally said a salesperson should be able to adapt sales style from situation to other. And another mentioned personalizing interactions. The research found this adaptability actually makes the sales presentations themselves more effective. They just land better.
Okay, now here's where the rankings start to diverge a bit more noticeably. Empathy. Salespeople ranked this 5th, but managers put it quite a bit lower, down at 8th.
Yeah, that gap is interesting. Now, both groups use similar words to describe it, like charm, being friendly, having sensitivity. And they both agreed it helps understand needs and build trust. Someone even said empathy helps make a great first impression, which is essential to close the sale.
So they both see the value.
They do. But it seems salespeople, perhaps because they're in those direct interactions constantly, felt it was a more prominent, sort of higher-ranked core skill than the managers did from their perspective.
Interesting. And then cooperative skills showed the opposite pattern. 6th for reps, but managers ranked it higher at 4th.
Right. So this is all about social skills, how well you work with colleagues, navigating the internal workings of the dealership or company.
Teamwork stuff.
Exactly. Professionals mentioned it leads to great teamwork and, importantly, less conflict. The study found that good cooperative skills actually improve overall team performance and sales results, basically by creating a better, smoother work environment.
And maybe managers, seeing the bigger picture, value that internal harmony a bit more.
That could well be it. They might see how that internal cooperation impacts the whole operation, maybe more than a rep focused on their individual targets.
Okay. Honest and ethical behavior. Pretty consistent here. 7th for both groups.
Yeah, this one feels foundational, doesn't it, for building that customer trust and, just as importantly, protecting the company's reputation.
Absolutely.
Like one professional put it really simply, not lying to the clients is important to establish trust. And the study supports that direct link. Honesty equals trust equals protecting the brand. Can't argue with that.
Nope. And finally, rounding out the 8 skills everyone agreed on. Time management skills.
Yeah.
8th for salespeople, but 6th for managers. Another slight difference.
Right. This was seen as, well, essential for high performance, and I liked this phrase, for working smarter.
Working smarter, not just harder.
Exactly. It involves things like, managing how long customers might be waiting or planning out your day effectively. And the research confirms that good time management directly boosts individual job performance.
So, okay, that's the 8 core skills everyone agreed were important. But, like we saw, some interesting differences in how important managers and reps felt empathy, cooperative skills, and time management were.
Exactly. And that variation in the rankings, even among those core 8s, it really starts to hint at, well, different perspectives, doesn't it? Probably driven by their different roles.
Yeah, why does a rep value empathy maybe slightly more than a manager does in this context? Or why does a manager prioritize cooperation or time management a bit higher?
It makes you wonder what aspects of the sales job are most front and center, or maybe most challenging from their particular viewpoint.
And, okay, here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. And maybe points to a potential blind spot the research uncovered.
Go on.
Managers in this study brought up 2 additional skills that the sales reps didn't even mention as core requirements.
Ah, yes. This gap is, I think, quite significant. The managers specifically highlighted follow-up skills and technology skills.
Follow-up and technology.
Okay. And they didn't just mention them. They ranked follow-up quite highly, number 7, same level as honesty for them. And technology skills came in at number 8 on the manager's list.
Wow. So reps didn't mention them at all as key, but managers put them right up there.
Exactly. Think about what that means. The reps interviewed just didn't raise these as essential must-have skills in the same way they talked about communication or knowledge. But the managers clearly did.
So what does that difference tell us? What's going on there?
Well, it really suggests that managers are often looking perhaps beyond just the immediate sale. They're thinking about the full customer life cycle, about efficiency.
The bigger picture.
Right. Follow-up skills, they're crucial for building those long-term customer relationships, driving retention, repeat business.
Sure.
And technology skills, things like using the CRM effectively, maybe social media for prospecting or relationship building managers, see these as vital. Vital for enhancing knowledge, improving prospecting, strengthening those customer connections using modern tools.
So it seems like managers see the value in maintaining relationships and using tech, maybe in a way that wasn't quite as top of mind for the reps they spoke to.
It certainly looks that way based on this study. Reps might be more focused, understandably, on that immediate interaction hitting this month's target, whereas managers are thinking about next quarter, next year, and the systems that support that long-term success.
Okay, so it's not just a checklist of skills. The research also looked at why they matter, right? How they actually connect to performance.
Precisely. The study essentially draws lines between having these skills and getting results. Think about it logically. Good communication and listening. That builds trust, which helps close deals.
Makes sense.
Having the right knowledge doesn't just make you feel good, it makes the whole selling process smoother. Presentation skills. Well, they obviously lead directly to better sales outcomes.
Right.
Being adaptable makes your pitch actually resonate. Empathy. It smooths the way for communication, builds trust right from that first impression. Cooperative skills, they improve how the whole team works, lifting everyone.
And honesty.
Builds that crucial customer trust. Protects the company. Time management makes individuals more productive. And then those 2 skills the managers added, follow-up and technology. The study links them directly to things like better customer retention and using tech to boost both knowledge and relationships over the long haul.
So for you, listening as a sales leader, understanding these connections is really powerful. It gives you the why behind focusing on certain behaviors or capabilities in your team.
Absolutely. And this study, therefore, offers some pretty clear implications for, well, how sales organizations could maybe operate more effectively, especially by tackling those perception gaps we talked about.
Okay, so the million-dollar question then.
Yeah.
How can you take these insights from the researchers and actually translate them into practical action? Things you can do with your team, maybe starting today.
Well, this raises, I think, an important question for every sales leader listening. How do you make sure everyone on your team, from the greenest rep to the seasoned manager, has a shared, complete picture of what really drives success? How do you bridge that potential gap between focusing only on the immediate win and truly valuing the long-term relationship, and importantly, the tools and processes that support it?
Okay, so based directly on what this research found, here are 3 concrete, actionable takeaways you can implement pretty much right away. First, review and update your training programs. Take a hard look at what you're currently teaching. Is it maybe too heavily focused on just the presentation and the close?
Which happens a lot.
It does. The study really suggests you need to explicitly build out and emphasize training in active listening, developing empathy, improving those cooperative skills, how to actually work well with internal teams, with colleagues.
Right, not just the customer-facing stuff.
Exactly. Also, consistently reinforcing honest and ethical behavior and teaching practical, effective time management strategies. And maybe pay special attention to those skills where the study showed different perceived importance, like empathy or cooperation, and make sure you're explaining their value from all angles.
Good point. Making the why clear.
Second takeaway. Prioritize follow-up and technology training and support. This comes straight from that gap the study highlighted.
The manager versus rep difference?
Yeah. Since the reps in this research didn't flag follow-up or tech as key skills, it's a decent bet this might be a blind spot in other sales teams too.
Could be widespread.
So, you need to build robust follow-up strategies right into your sales process and provide dedicated training, and this is key ongoing support for using your sales tech effectively.
Not just a one-off session.
Definitely not. Show them how the CRM helps manage relationships long-term. Show them how social selling tools can genuinely boost their prospecting and knowledge. And, importantly, work to overcome any resistance or negative attitudes towards tech by clearly showing how it helps them achieve their goals. Make it relevant.
Yeah, demonstrating the WIFM, what's in it for me.
Exactly. And the third takeaway, facilitate open dialogue about skill perceptions. Create regular opportunities, maybe in team meetings or one-on-ones, for managers and reps to talk openly. Talk about what skills they think are most important and, crucially, why.
Get those different perspectives out in the open.
Precisely. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about understanding. Why does a rep maybe see empathy as more critical day-to-day than a manager does? Why might a manager prioritize time management or internal cooperation differently? Why might reps not naturally prioritize follow-up or logging things in the CRM as much?
Uncovering those underlying assumptions.
Yeah. Having that dialogue can reveal fundamental differences in how people understand the whole sales process or the customer relationship lifecycle. And addressing those different perceptions allows for much more targeted coaching, better development, and building a genuinely shared understanding of what effectiveness looks like across the entire customer journey. So thinking about that perception gap again, particularly around follow-up and technology.
Well, what's really insightful, I think, is that the skills manager specifically added to the list.
Yeah.
Follow-up and tech. They are precisely the skills that extend the salesperson's role and impact beyond just closing that initial deal.
Good point. They're about the long game.
Exactly. They're about building lasting relationships, about leveraging tools for efficiency and ongoing connection.
Okay, so here's the provocative thought we want to leave you with today. Does your sales team truly value the activities that happen after the initial deal is done? The follow-up, the ongoing relationship building, the smart use of technology. Do they value that as much as they value landing the initial sale?
And if maybe the answer is not quite, or I'm not sure, then the real question becomes, how can you, as their leader, start to shift that perspective and build a team that excels across the entire customer lifecycle? Something to think about.